Okay, several announcements. I'll make this as quick as possible. Again, thank you for being here at the Y. If you have ordered a lunch, please be patient. We have way more people ordering lunches today, of course, than what we typically do, so be a little patient. We have a couple of people running lunches. If in 5 minutes or so you have not yet received your lunch, if you can patiently hold up your ticket, that would be helpful for those folks who are running lunches to be able to just sort of spot where those who are waiting for their lunches still are. So thank you for that. Another question I've had from several different people, obviously, is books are being sold in the hall. The Illini Union Bookstore is kind enough to be here and sell books for us today. Eboo's books and some others who are going to be at the Interfaith Conference during the course of the weekend. If you would like to have a book signed, Eboo will stick around for a while after questions and is willing to do that. Other housekeeping things, just briefly, there is a single restroom on this floor, but if there's a line, there are restrooms now also upstairs and downstairs that are accessible. So, I'm Ann Rasmus. I know lots of you, but not all of you. I'm one of the program directors here at the Y. And it's been my privilege and really a pleasure this semester to organize, together with the Friday Forum Committee, this Friday Forum series, which has been themed around faith in action. This spring series, we've had features from across the spectrum of faith traditions who are coming and talking about how their faith compels them to bold and creative action. I would note that next week we'll host the Reverend Dr. Claire Butterfield of Faith in Place, coming down from Chicago, and Pastor Bob Rasmus of St. Matthew Lutheran Church, talking about ecology as a moral and faith issue and the partnership between Faith in Place and St. Matthew, which has resulted in the local CSA Sola Gracia Farm right here in Urbana. I want to thank our sponsors, which include the University YMCA, the Channing Murray Foundation, the Chapel of St. John the Divine Episcopal Church, the First Mennonite Church, McKinley Presbyterian Church and Foundation, St. Matthew Lutheran Church, Wesley United Methodist Church, Wesley Foundation at the University of Illinois, the UIUC Hillel Cohen Center, the Social Action Committee of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign, the Office of Inclusion and Intercultural Relations, Interfaith in Action, the LGBT Resource Center, and SORF for their support. As always, the views expressed by today's speaker does not necessarily reflect the views of the University YMCA, our co-sponsors, or the Friday Forum Committee. A sign language interpreter is available for Friday Forums if you give us 72 hours notice. And then all Friday Forums are radio broadcast at 6 o'clock on Left 90.1 on Mondays following the lectures. So if you want to hear this again, or if you want to refer it to somebody, that's a great way to hear that. So thanks again for being here. At this point, Greg Damhorst, who's a leader in Interfaith in Action, a student organization housed here at the Y, and known across the campus and the community for putting faith into action, will introduce you today.
Thanks. So I first met Eboo in February 2007 when I was a freshman here. I'm still around as a student, so I've had the joy of working in interfaith cooperation on campus. And it's a tremendous honor for me to be able to introduce him to you today. And so as I was thinking about how to do that, I kind of realized, I thought, you know, I'm sort of familiar with this Friday Forum crowd. And most of you probably don't need to hear the typical things that I would say. Things like Eboo is the founder and executive director of the Interfaith Youth Corps. He was named in 2009 as one of America's best leaders by U.S. News & World Report. He served on President Obama's Advisory Council for Faith-Based Neighborhood Partnerships. You probably don't need to really hear that because either you already know it or you have been impacted by Eboo directly or indirectly in a more profound ways than what those titles sort of reflect. So for example, if you were here in 2010 and in late April you were one of the 5,000 people in Champaign-Urbana who came through the old Hobby Lobby building and packaged 1 million meals for the people of Haiti who had just suffered from an earthquake, then you were impacted indirectly, perhaps even directly, by Eboo Patel. If you attended the Illinois Conference on Interfaith Collaboration, which launched last year for the first time and starts today again in its second annual meeting, then you were indirectly affected by Eboo. So if I can summarize what that means, it's not because Eboo was necessarily here. In fact, he was delayed in New York on a plane, I believe, and not able to make it last year to our conference. But what you've been impacted by directly are the leaders who have been inspired by Eboo and by this message of interfaith cooperation. And Eboo will be the first to tell you that he didn't create that, but he's just continuing, just like the leaders on this campus are continuing a tradition and a legacy of interfaith cooperation that is really central to our country and central to our faith for many of us. So brace yourself for that inspiration, and without further ado, Eboo Patel.
Boy, I gotta tell you, so the drive down here from Chicago does not get any more interesting as the years go by. That's one thing I can tell you. But the memories get sweeter, and I mean that in a very real and deep way, especially now that I'm a parent with an almost 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I have a sense of what my wife and I do for Zaid and Khalil. I just have a deeper sense of where all of us come from, right, and what it means to develop and to be nurtured as a human being, and just how much time that takes, and what it really takes is the time of other people. And I look around this room and I think about Willard Broom and John Jordan and others here who gave me an awful lot of time when I was a crazy 17-year-old with a head full of radical spangles, and I am unbelievably grateful to that. Unbelievably grateful to that. There's this beautiful line in the work of Marcel Proust that the true journey of discovery is not in traveling to new landscapes, it's in developing new eyes. And it was here in Champaign-Urbana that I developed new eyes. And I first stepped foot on this campus in the fall of 1993, which is 20 years ago. And I've been a lot of interesting places since. Cape Town, South Africa with Mandela, Dharamsala, India with the Dalai Lama. But the world has never felt as new to me as when I was a first-year student at the University of Illinois in the fall of 1993. There's just something about, I think, being young on a college campus and having blinders fall, having blisters pop, having walls come down. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing, and I experienced it here, and I am deeply and will always be grateful to that. I will never be a billionaire because I run a nonprofit organization and I deal in the world of religion, but if I become a billionaire, my bequest would be to the University of Illinois, with no small amount going to the University YMCA, and not to Oxford, where I got my graduate degree. Right? As fine as an institution as that is, it was this place that provided both an intimate environment and kind of the vastness of the city in one place, and not a few helping hands that helped me, you know, I guess, get on the path to being who I am. So this is, in a lot of ways, part one of a two-part talk. Part two will be given tonight as part of the Illinois Conference on Interfaith Cooperation that Greg and Ross and Masood and some other terrific people in this room are running. So if folks are around for that, please come back. But part one of this is really on the role that I think college campuses ought to play in nurturing a nation of interfaith cooperation. And I want to tell this from a personal vantage point. I want to talk about what this campus did for me in terms of racial and ethnic identity and multiculturalism. And I think what the specter of higher education did for the nation when it comes to multiculturalism. I want to kind of tell that personal journey. It'll probably take 15 or 20 minutes. And then I want to move from that into the role that I think campuses can play, similar around the positive engagement of religious diversity. By the way, I don't know if there's a public university that is more advanced in its student leadership of religious diversity and interfaith cooperation than the University of Illinois. That says something, actually more than something, about the kind of work that Ross Wantland and other staff and faculty are doing, but frankly it says the most about the kind of work that Masood and Greg Damhorst have been doing for years and years and years. I want to get to that a little bit later, but I would be remiss if I didn't actually mention it from the beginning, because one of the main reasons that I'm here is to learn more about that work and to be as supportive of it as possible. So I want to congratulate you on the work that you've already done and how you continue to set up the work for students in the future.